Hey guys, Josiah here with Aesthetyx Fitness. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you all about creatine. Alright, so creatine monohydrate specifically, is the most studied supplement in the world. It has had thousands of scholarly studies done on it, and there's somehow still a lot of misconceptions and bad information out there about creatine. And so in today's video, I want to ignore all of that, cut through the myth, and get to really the truth and science behind creatine. First off, creatine is not a drug. It is a natural organic acid that is both produced by your body as a source of energy and can also be found in red meats, fish, and other naturally occurring sources, albeit in very small amounts. And what creatine does from a performance perspective for your body is helps replenish ATP. Now ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, is basically the energy currency of your body. It is what your body spends to produce athletic energy, basically. So if you're lifting weights, running, sprinting, you are using ATP to do this. Now by supplementing with creatine, you help increase the natural creatine stores in your muscles, therefore helping to quickly replenish the ATP so that your body doesn't become exhausted as quickly. In addition to that, creatine also helps pull water into your actual muscular tissue. What this does is then helps increase the nutrient uptake into your muscles, thereby helping your muscles and strength to recover faster, grow better, and become stronger. And this hydrating effect of creatine is actually where the myth of the creatine bloat or creatine water retention comes from. It is true, while you're on creatine, you do retain water, usually 1 to 2 pounds more water weight while you're on it. However, when people talk about feeling bloated or increasing their water retention, generally what they're speaking about is subcutaneous water retention, which is water being held in and underneath the skin, which makes it thicker and softer and makes your muscles underneath look less defined. That's not what creatine does, so that is a complete myth. What creatine does is actually pull the water into your muscles. It is intracellular water retention, which means that your muscles will actually be bigger, not your skin. You will not look any more bloated or any less defined. Your muscles will actually just look bigger. So when people talk about creatine water retention, that's actually a positive effect of creatine. Now, I don't want to oversell creatine here. Creatine is very useful for one specific kind of athletic performance, and that is short, intense burst athletic performance. So people like marathon runners are not going to see any benefits from using creatine. However, if you are a weightlifter or a sprinter or a bodybuilder, you are going to see a significant benefit from using creatine, usually in the 5 to 15% athletic output and muscle building range. Now, to cover the science behind some of the concerns people have about creatine and the actual effects that it does have on your body, I'm turning to the International Society of Sports Nutrition, because they have an article posted on the National Institute of Health's website which details over 100 different studies specifically relating to creatine use with athletes, with individuals, and how that impacts their body and the effects that it does and doesn't have on them physiologically and physically. And I will actually post a link to that in the description below in case you want to check it out yourself. All of the individual studies that article cites are actually highlighted, and you can click them and then it'll take you to that actual study if you want to really delve further into the science behind creatine. So I'm going to pull from some of those studies and the article as a whole. Now, the conclusion and the stance that the International Society of Sports Nutrition has is, quote, "Creatine monohydrate is the most effective ergogenic nutritional supplement currently available to athletes in terms of increasing high-intensity exercise capacity and lean muscle mass during training." So that's pretty high praise. Now let's look a little further into this and see if there's anything we should be worried about. First of all, a lot of people think that you have to cycle creatine because they're afraid it's going to deplete your natural creatine levels and that it could cause things like liver damage or long-term bloating, injury, things along those lines. So let's look at the science. Does taking creatine hurt your kidneys? In a scholarly study by Portmans et al., they showed that there was no detrimental effects on short 5-day, medium 14-day, or long-term 10-month to 5-year supplementation of creatine monohydrate on renal function. So that basically means that supplementing up to 5 years straight with creatine monohydrate had no detrimental effects on kidney function. If you want to look at an even longer term study, patients taking 1.5 to 3 grams of creatine monohydrate per day. Now I will say this is about 2 grams less than probably the optimal intake for muscle growth and strength performance. But people who are taking 1.5 to 3 grams per day of creatine monohydrate since 1981, so that's almost 40 years ago, had no significant side effects. Now, another myth that a lot of people will put out there is they will say that creatine will increase cramping. It's going to make your muscles cramp and increase your risk of injury. However, in a study by Greenwood et al., they showed that cramping is actually reduced by creatine supplementation. In addition to that, they actually found that creatine reduces musculoskeletal injuries and speeds recovery if you already have a muscle, tendon, or joint injury. And on top of all that, on a completely unrelated note, it's been studied and shown that creatine actually has neuroprotective effects. So people like football players who are constantly hitting their heads on things or each other, taking creatine monohydrate can actually help reduce the brain damage and neurocognitive effects that has on their body. So there you have it. As long as you are a healthy, well-functioning adult without any kidney or renal issues, that's the one time when they kind of have found that creatine can put a little more stress on your system, is when you already have kidney impairment. As long as you don't have that specific condition, you should be totally fine to supplement with creatine. It's great for you. It helps give you a whole host of health benefits and increase your performance in the gym and help you to build more muscle, which is always a good thing. So let me know what you guys think. If any of you watching this video were formerly against the use of creatine or thought it was a drug or a dangerous substance, what do you think now? Let me know in the comments down below. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. Of course, thank you for watching. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed the video and if it helped you out at all. Comment down below, and of course subscribe to this channel because I have new content coming out every Monday and Friday to help you train smarter and look better.